That time, all right. So I'm going to call this meeting of the Public Safety Committee to order. Okay, roll call. We have everybody here, which is great. Let me read the official notice of posting here. This agenda was posted in the office. So I'm going to call this meeting of the Public Safety Committee. What?
Oh, apparently that was on. You're good.
Okay, so this agenda was posted in the office of the county clerk on the 9th day of March, 2022. Notice was sent to the West Bend Daily News, Express News, WIBD, WMBZ Radio, WTKM Radio, My Community Now, Hartford Times Press, Key Weston Statesman, Milwaukee Journal, Sentinel. All right, all rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Okay, Supervisor Gannering, and I saw a second from Supervisor Berg. One note on the consent agenda, Supervisor Marquardt attended the WCD.
No, that's not included in the consent agenda.
Okay, so just leave it, okay, all right. Any comments on the consent agenda? No, okay, and at this point, all in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, discussion items. We got Sheriff's Office staff acknowledgements.
So I have a couple of them that I'd like to do, if you don't mind. The first one I think that's listed is for dispatch. If I could have our dispatch group come up here, please. So this particular acknowledgement is about a burglary in progress, high-speed chase, foot pursuits, searching. And when you think of that, you think of all the stuff the cops are doing, right? The screaming down the highway, but you never really see what happened on the backside of it and how dispatch is involved in it. In this case, really highlights the work that dispatch does. That's kind of the unsung heroes of the calls, because what you just think about is not what happens in the dispatch center. So what I have, so this is Lauren and Becky. How long have you guys been dispatching?
8 years.
8 years with Becky. 16. I didn't need to put you guys in the spot. So they're veteran dispatchers. The one dispatcher that's not here is her name's Amanda Case. We just recently hired her from Milwaukee Police Department. So she's new, but has a wealth of experience as well. So I'd like to read it if you wouldn't mind. So it's an acknowledgement for Communications Officer Rebecca Scheringer, Communications Officer Lauren Oswald, and Communications Officer Amanda Case. Whereas on February 20th, 2022, so very recently, at approximately 2:33 a.m., the Washington County Communications Center received a wireless 911 call from a subject reported a burglary in progress to a business located in the city of West Bend. Communications Officer Becky Scheringer quickly obtained the number of actors, a suspect vehicle description, a direction of travel from the caller, and while transferring the 911 call to the West Bend Police Department, she simultaneously relayed this information to our patrol deputies on our countywide radio system. A short time later, the deputy observed the suspect vehicle traveling southbound on US 45, and a pursuit was initiated. At the time of the above incident, Communications Officer Lauren Oswald was field training Communications Officer Amanda Case. All three communications officers were collaborative to make accurate and timely entries into CAD, it's our computerized system, maintain continuous radio contact with those deputies involved in the pursuit, and coordinating with Germantown Police Department location where tire deflation devices could be safely utilized. And whereas well after the pursuit came to fruition, the vehicle's occupants fled on foot, the above-mentioned communications officers orchestrated and established a perimeter while maintaining accurate on-scene accounting of all officers. The communications officers simultaneously facilitated resource allocation requests necessary to aid the apprehension. And some of those requests include obtaining several canine handlers, drone operators, contacting the appropriate railroad on the railroad bed, coordinating multiple tows, and calling in extra help. Additionally, these communications officers also work to maintain a scaled-back law enforcement presence throughout the rest of the county. Obviously, you draw a lot of resources down to the Germantown area, but we still have 436 square miles that has to be covered, and they have to arrange for that as well. And wherever over the course of this nearly 5-hour event, the team approached and good judgment exhibited by these communications officers played a vital role in the successful apprehension of 2 suspects. So now therefore be resolved that Communications Officer Rebecca Scherner, Lauren Oswald, and Amanda Case are hereby acknowledged for the professionalism and dedication to duty. So I thank you guys very, very much. So the second one that I have is, which one's listed on there?
So next one is Emily.
Yep.
Schneider,
Yep. So
shooter.
Anley, come on up here. So this is a little unique too, because Anley is not a county employee. She is a contracted employee through our Advanced Correctional Health Care, which is our medical provider to the jail. A while ago, we had our own nursing staff, county nursing staff at one time, and we realized that we needed to increase the level of service and number of hours. So Advanced Correctional provides 128 hours of nursing care for our jail facility per week. And Emily is the nurse manager for that. How long have you been doing that? Year and a half? Okay. So what I have here is acknowledgement for her. So Emily Goldman-Shooter, nurse manager, whereas Emily is employed with Advanced Correctional Health through their contracted services and has been the nurse manager for the Washington County Jail since October 5th, 2020. And whereas Advanced Correctional Healthcare provides services to 16 different states and over 312 different facilities, with Washington County Jail being one of those facilities. And whereas nurse manager Emily Goldman-Shooter has been integral in successful management and care of Washington County Jail through the difficulties of both medical emergencies and the global pandemic. And whereas nurse Emily Goldman-Shooter, through her integrity and dedication to her profession in the Washington County Jail, has been named the 2021 Advanced Correctional Healthcare Nurse of the Year. So now therefore be resolved that nurse manager Emily Goldman-Shooter is hereby acknowledged by the Washington County Sheriff's Office for her exemplary accomplishment. So it speaks well to the 312 different facilities. And how many staff do you think that Advanced Correctional have? Do you have any idea? So 1,500 staff, and she was named the nurse of the year, so that's very impressive. So thank you very much. And the last one that we have, coming up. So this is a little abnormal as well. I'm doing an acknowledgement for Lynn. And we don't normally do it. What she did was she trained a new employee, which that happens all the time in our ranks. But what's a little unique here is the individual that retired had a wealth of decades and decades of experience doing her job. To give you just a perspective on how much wealth, institutional knowledge she had, the person who retired, when she started in her clerical position, she was making $2.76 an hour. So you can imagine the wealth of knowledge that individual had. Lynn was the backup to that staff member. Nancy Stoffels was her name. So Lynn would kind of just would fill in when Nancy was gone. And Nancy was a very dedicated employee. It hardly took off at all. Didn't use any sick time. So Lynn didn't have a whole lot of time to work that position. But we tasked her with training a new person in that job, which posed some challenges. So I have an acknowledgement for Lynn. Whereas on January 11th, 2022, Administrative Assistant Lynn Thal was assigned to onboard and train a new Administrative Assistant, Sandy Tesser, in the duties and responsibilities of civil process, warrants, and the preparation and maintenance of a variety of complex legal papers for service at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. And whereas Administrative Assistant Lynn Thal took on this training role without complaint or hesitation, Administrative Assistant Lynn Thal maintained a positive attitude and demonstrated unselfish teamwork. As Administrative Assistant Lynn Thal took extra time to self-train in the position, and she had to do that, so she could better assist in the training efforts of her new teammate, Sandy Tesser. Administrative Assistant Lynn Thal demonstrated patience and willing to put in extra time to make sure Sandy understood her new role and responsibilities. Whereas Sandy verbalized her appreciation for the training she received specifically from Lynn, Sandy commented to her supervisor how patient and helpful Lynn was to Sandy during the training process. And Sandy stated that Linthal was, quote, a very great team player. Whereas Administrative Assistant Linthal displayed the competencies of our company's core values and the mission of the Washington County Sheriff's Office that helped to nurture the public trust by holding herself to the highest standards of performance and ethics. Now, therefore, be resolved that Administrative Assistant Linthal is hereby acknowledged for her professionalism and dedication to doing so. I really sincerely thank you. Thank you for allowing me that time to break with my staff a little.
All right, next agenda item we have is the Washington County Hazard Mitigation Plan. I'm guessing Rob's gonna speak to that.
And the crowd's gonna leave. Was that a clear room?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything quite this exciting, unfortunately. Sorry about that. No, mostly this is just an update. I think, yeah, this committee was still, or was, in this grouping, when I brought this before you, I believe it was in March of 21. And I had applied for this grant through FEMA in December because there was a short timeline anyway. But I wanted to let you know that it took over 14 months for FEMA to approve this, which is extremely long. It doesn't usually take that long. I think it has a lot to do with everything that's going on in the Afghan refugees and all that stuff. But anyway, good news, we got the grant, and the hazard mitigation plan, like my report says, it's something that has to be updated every 5 years. We partner with SWRPAC. SWRPAC does the bulk of the work, in cooperation with me and a committee that we form. And so I just wanted to let the committee know that we got the grant, and it doesn't involve any county money. SWRPAC is going to do the 25% match through their in-kind time. So it's kind of a good deal for us. I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything, but my one concern about it taking so long was that they were going to shorten up the performance period, but the award letter said we have until, I believe it's November of 23. So about 18 months, which is what we normally would need to do this. So all in all, it's a good thing.
All right. Any questions?
I know that wasn't.
No applause for you this kind of.
I'll fight for you.
Yeah, throw me a vote here. Right.
It is pretty special that you worked out that with SWRPAC, that 25%.
Yeah, that helps a lot. It really does. I mean, I'm sure the county would, if they had to, would have provided the money, but it does help. And SWRPAC does a really, really nice job. There are other contractors out there, but I like to work with SWRPAC. So,
Awesome.
all right.
All right, thanks, sir. All right, action item, resolution, capital improvement project amendment for Sheriff's Patrol Boat. So Marty?
I guess I was not prepared to speak on this. I can kind of give you the general gist of what it was. So we had we provide lake patrol services throughout the county. It's a DNR grant. I shouldn't say it's a reimbursed program through the state. They base it on the registration of the boats. And one of the things that we're able to do is to purchase equipment through that grant program, and then it's depreciated over 5 years, and then we're reimbursed at a rate. Typically, it varies from year to year, but it hovers around 75%. It could, depending on how many patrol put in for it or make the performance standards, it could be a little less than that. Typically, it's not more. I think the least amount is, I remember, is like 67 or 68%. So between that 68 and 75% that were reimbursed for equipment. And so one of the requests that we had was for a new patrol boat, the one that we're using. I wish I should have done a little research on this. I believe we bought from the village of Richfield in 2007. And it was a used boat at the time, but we bought it from them. The boat, it serves its purpose, but it's getting tired. One of the proposals that we're going to have is to maybe not get rid of it, but see if the village is willing to house it down there, that we could have quicker access to an emergency boat if we needed it down in the southern end of the county.
But so in our capital improvement plan last year, we had the patrol boat in the budget for, was it 35 to 40,000, and at that time they decided for some reason that we should be taking it out of the general fund instead of the CIP. And somehow in the course of that year, it kind of fell through the cracks. And when we broached the fact that we thought this was approved in a CIP, they said, well, it was a general fund. Now we're going to try to put it back into the CIP fund. So I think this resolution, if I read it correctly, is that you're authorizing it to go back into CIP. That's the. And what we're going to do with this boat is we're going to design it as a patrol boat, but also kind of communicate with our dive team to see if there's any special needs that our dive team has that the boat could be kind of utilized in a dual purpose. That's all I know about it.
Any questions for our county sheriff on this?
May go out for bid on that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We'd like to stay local if we can. That's certainly the goal.
Something fixed.
Right. Yes. That's So the goal would be to somehow arrange it.
So the term singular boat, does that mean that you drag it in and out of?
Yes.
And jump.
Yeah.
Periodically different lakes and stuff like that.
So we mostly focus on lakes that don't have their own boat patrols, like Big Cedar, Little Cedar, Silver Lake, Pipe Lake. They have their own patrols. They're not out all the time, so we try to. If we know they're not going to be out there, if it's a busy weekend, we'll work with them. But we kind of focus a lot on the Richfield lakes, some of the smaller lakes.
Just thinking if they're taking it in and out of the water, a lot of wear and tear on it.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah, we had one. The old boat actually fell off the trailer once at a boat launch.
Oh.
That was interesting.
Is it on video?
No, thank you.
All right, seeing no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve this. Okay, motion by Supervisor Marquardt, second by Supervisor Goddard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, and the motion passes unanimously. All right, at this point, let's see, our next meeting date is to be determined, and we have a closed session to entertain a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85 1D for the purpose of considering crime prevention and detection, specifically to discuss additional options to identify and deter contraband coming into jail. So a motion to go into closed session. Okay, I have Supervisor Berg first, I'll have Supervisor Goddard second. Yep, all right, so roll call vote. Supervisor Marquardt? Aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and we are moving into closed session.
Not broadcasting anymore. We're not broadcasting.
Give it 1 second.